Our Mental Health Matters segment features conversations about navigating mental health. Today, host Andra Hollenbeck with Southern Oregon's National Alliance on Mental Illness speaks with behavioral health specialist Ellen Denninger about getting hoarding behaviors under control and a Rogue Valley program that can help.
Hello, everyone. Hope all is well with you today. You're listening to Mental Health Matters on the Jefferson Exchange with Jefferson Public Radio and NAMI, Southern Oregon. I'm Andra Hollenbeck with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Southern Oregon. When we talk about health, we cannot address complete health without caring for our mental health. On this program, we highlight mental health issues in our community and ways we can improve mental health for everyone. Today, we're discussing when acquiring habits become obsessive and collecting and saving items become overwhelming. We have with us today Ellen Denninger from the Rogue Valley Council of Governments and Senior and Disability Services. Ellen works as a behavioral health specialist for the Senior and Disability Services. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning, Andra. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. So would you tell us just a little bit about the Rogue Valley Council of Governments, kind of give us a context about what that is and your role in it?
So the Senior and Disability Services, we call it RVCOG, is an area agency on aging. Each county in Oregon has this program. We cover Jackson and Josephine counties, and we provide programs and services to support older adults and people with disabilities.
Okay. So let's get to it. We all have stuff in our homes, and some of us have more difficulty with letting go of objects than others. When do these inclinations for collecting or saving make acquiring a problem?
So there's quite a spectrum. People may learn habits from their childhood families. It tends to be passed down amongst generations in families. Also, it's considered a psychological disorder. Oftentimes, it's similar to people overeating or people drinking too much. Acquiring too much possessions can become an emotional behavior.
Okay. Yeah, so similar to overeating, or those are the kinds of things that are based on sort of emotional experiences. So you have a program coming up called Buried in Treasures. Tell us about that.
Sure. Buried in Treasures is a 16-week, 2-hour in-person course that can support people to discover the reasons for their problems with acquiring and saving behavior. The course provides an opportunity to learn new ways of thinking about their possessions, how to declutter and create more living space. The group setting offers a judgment-free environment for people who are ready to make this kind of change in their life. We will discuss skills from the book, Buried in Treasures, and complete challenging and rewarding exercises. We will give people the book for free so that they can write in it and do those exercises. We also check in with each individual's progress during the class, their challenges, their successes, and their goals.
Okay. And this is an in-person class you meet, and so where will it be meeting?
Yeah. The Buried in Treasures workshop will take place at the Senior Resource Center in Central Point from 2 to 4 in the afternoon every Tuesday starting February 13th and ending on May 28th. I'm one of 2 facilitators for the classes. We're both behavioral health specialists for Senior and Disability Services.
So I guess how would one know if one had a problem with this? Do people have good insight to that themselves? Is it something that someone becomes aware of or they're not aware of? How is that determined?
So from my experience, and I'm getting calls for registration for this class, there's a difference between downsizing and having a behavior that's difficult around collecting too much. This class is for a community member who acknowledges the possibility that their behavior might need to change in order to address having clutter or too much stuff at home. The clutter may be impacting the person's ability to function well in their home, or it might be impacting their significant relationships in negative ways. The individual needs to have the cognitive capacity to understand the Buried in Treasures program by reading a chapter each week and doing the exercises. They also need to have the interpersonal skills to be active and an appropriate participant in a weekly group meeting, and they need to be able to make a commitment to attend all or most of the 16 group meetings.
So it's for people who have an awareness and yet still have a capacity to possibly do something about that. You work with the Area Agency on Aging. So I'm wondering, is this particular to elders, or is it that it becomes more of a problem as one ages?
So it can be a problem for any
entire
age.
life. Mhm.
Yes, yeah. It's not particular to older adults,
Uh-huh.
but as you age, of course, you acquire more stuff. And mobility issues and getting
Right.
around your house as you age means you're less able to clean and sort and organize everything.
Right. Then that also becomes more of a problem because you're not able to move around with all of your stuff. So how prevalent are hoarding behaviors in general, just in the population? Is it something that, like, would you say 10%, 5%? I mean, is it?
I don't have any statistics off the top of my head, but it's big enough of a problem that when we offer our classes,
They
we
get filled
we
up.
get a lot of enrollment. Not everybody sticks through the whole class. May not be a good match for where they are in their lives at that time, but at least we're planting a seed that there's a curriculum and a program out there available to support them when they're ready.
Right. There's hope when you're ready to get it. Awesome. Are there particular traits or behaviors or even life circumstances that might preclude someone or predispose someone towards these kinds of over acquiring behaviors?
Well, as I was talking about before, it can be an emotional filling of oneself. The pleasure and gratification of acquiring can be sort of like a high.
You get a little
You get
endorphin rush.
exactly, and it feels good. And then not being able to let go of nearly as much as you've acquired. So it continues to pile up. And then there's this decision-making process that people go through, like, is there value to these possessions? And sure, I can think of a situation where I might use that and it might be valuable to me. But when things keep piling up to the point where you don't even know what you have and where it is, that's when it can really be a problem.
So that was one thing I was going to ask is if there are certain indicators that someone might be having a problem. Like even if I were thinking about myself or if someone's thinking about themselves, are there certain indicators that we could say this could be tipping over into becoming an issue?
Yeah, that's a great question. One indicator might be, is the clutter and collection of stuff causing significant strain on family, family relationships, social life, neighbors, your quality of life in general?
Right. Like maybe you don't want to invite somebody over because of the condition of your house.
Exactly.
That might be an indicator.
You're embarrassed and don't want to have people over, or your family is criticizing you constantly,
Yeah. Or mentioning.
telling you to get rid of things, and you're feeling guilty that you're not able to do that. A second really important indication is, do items in your home make it difficult for you or others to use certain areas? For example, can you use all of your kitchen?
Right.
Can you use all of your bathroom? Can you use your furniture, or is this stuff covering furniture
There's
in
no
your
place
home?
for anyone to sit.
Is it covering windows and doors so that you cannot walk freely or get out safely from your home?
Yeah. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about treatment and treatment for these kinds of behaviors. You have a class. Is part of the class some sort of, I guess maybe cognitive behavioral therapy? Is that part of it? Are there particular therapeutic approaches? Is medication ever indicated?
Yeah. I have not heard of medication
Oh, okay.
being used for this, but that's definitely a possibility. If there's an anxiety or depression element connected to this kind of behavior, that might be helpful.
That could help someone go through the process possibly.
Absolutely.
Right. So then what other kinds of, what is the approach then, I guess, of, for example, the Buried in Treasures class?
So first, we focus on what exactly is a hoarding behavior, or what are symptoms of hoarding? And then, do I have a problem with this? How did this happen? We try and support people's motivation, give them strategies for how to reduce acquiring, practice sorting and removing stuff. We actually bring a big plastic bin to our classes, and support people with practicing putting one item that they may be ready to let go of, put it in our bin, let it sit there for a week, and then they come back to the next class. So how was that for you? Did you think about it a lot? Was it, traumatic for you to know that that might not be available, that particular item? Or did you figure out, wow, I'm actually
okay
ready
with
to
it.
let go of
Yeah.
it?
So that's the emotional aspect, but it also sounds like there's a skills aspect to it as well, that you need to have the skills and being able to make a decision, decide about organizing what is valuable, what's not valuable. Those are also skills we can develop. Is that
Absolutely. Another skill is we have people practice going to one of their favorite stores, just walking around
and
and
not buying anything?
allowing themselves to buy anything.
Oh,
So practicing that in the community can be very helpful too.
yeah. You are listening to Mental Health Matters on the Jefferson Exchange. I'm Andra Hollenbeck with NAMI Southern Oregon, speaking with Ellen Denninger from the Rogue Valley Council of Governments and Senior Disability Services about when acquiring becomes a problem, when it becomes a mental health concern. So let's talk about how people can approach others who they suspect might have a problem. It can be really easy to get naggy and bossy around this, like, oh, just get rid of this stuff. But what are some good approaches? If you see someone maybe having a problem, what's a good way to approach them about that?
So a good question to ask someone that you think may have this challenge is, would you like to join a class created for people who are ready to live a less cluttered life?
Okay, so would you like to know more? Would you like to be able to do better? So that's kind of the first. Would you like some help in gaining these skills?
Exactly.
Okay, and then that might give someone the ability to do that. It sounds like you mentioned some techniques that you recommend. Well, let's talk about if you don't go to the class, you sense you might have some of these behaviors. Are there techniques that we could use, that an individual could use just themselves? I heard you mention a couple, like just practicing not buying something.
Yes.
That's an example.
And I would suggest people buying the book, Buried in Treasures, because they can do all of the exercises in each chapter on their own. We recommend the class because the group environment can be very supportive. It makes people feel like they're not alone in this.
They're not going through it alone. And other people have the same issues and same problems. So I'm not stupid or bad or any of that stuff.
Right.
But other people, it's a normal human kind of inclination. Yeah, I get
And
that.
it can help them buddy up in the class as well.
Yeah.
People can go to each other's homes and support each other with practicing these skills. So it's that kind of environment that can be very helpful. But absolutely, an individual can buy the book and do this on their own time at their own pace as well.
And I'm wondering if it's maybe easier to help, if one by helping someone else with their acquiring, if it might also help you in return. Like if you're going into someone else and giving them advice or help, and then you go back to your own place, that might make it easier.
It might, yes. And even as facilitators and leaders of these classes, we have to look at our own behaviors.
Right.
And really examine motivations behind acquiring and letting go, because we are role models as well for people to learn.
Right. Awesome. Well, I'm Andra Hollenbeck, and we've been speaking with Ellen Denninger from the Rogue Valley Council of Governments and Senior Disability Service. Thank you for this great conversation. Do you want to tell us just briefly how, if people are interested in this program, who should they contact or how should they find out about it?
Absolutely. So you can go to the homepage of the Rogue Valley Council of Governments. We have a flyer attached to that homepage. You can also contact me directly. And I'm going to give you my email address is edenninger@rvcog.org. And my direct office line is 541-423-1392.
Perfect. And please find out more information about NAMI Southern Oregon at our website, namisouthern.org, or email us at info@namisouthern.org. This is Mental Health Matters. Thanks for joining us. You can find this and other interviews at jeffexchange.org or subscribe to this podcast at Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.